at school were making fun of me saying that I have a flat face. Like, do I have a flat face? I remember my mom saying like, hey, 可能嗰啲細路仔歧視我哋啲中國人呢? Which in translation, my mom was just like, huh, maybe it's just those kids making fun of us Asian people. And I was just like, what's the difference? So my mom broke it down to me, explained to me that, you know, we are different, like we are minorities in this country and blah, 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 so on and so forth. And that for me explained so much about why I don't eat food that kids at school eat, or why sometimes I don't understand words because the only way I can express it is in Chinese. And that explains why I struggled so much in English. Which brings me to my next story. I hope you guys aren't bored of these stories yet. But this is the last story I want to tell, and that is me struggling a lot as a kid in English. So I remember kids would read books and like we had to take these tests at the end of like each book that we read just to see how much we absorbed the material. And I remember I would fail every single test, even though I read the book, or at least I thought I read the book. Reading was a really, really hard thing because I was learning English at school, but the second I got home, I'm speaking Chinese with my family. Throughout elementary school, throughout middle school, I struggled so hard. I could never pass those reading tests. I was testing 2 to 3 grades below what I was supposed to be. Say I was in 5th grade, I was at a reading level of a 2nd, 3rd grader. After my parents knowing that I was testing so low in my reading or my English tests, instead of trying to understand why I was testing that way, my mom immediately just got mad at me and was like, you watch too much TV. Why don't you study more? You're born and raised in America. How do you not know English?
Alright, that's like basically every Chinese mom when their kids fail a test. They blame it on the electronics. I never actually like failed the test. I have never actually like failed a test. Of course, for a reading class, once I kind of failed the test, I had to retake it and I didn't fail it. But after that, I got A+, so yay. But when I was younger, I really could not read. I read one book in 1st grade, and that was the only book that I was able to like get through, and I read that book like 2 or 3 times. It was the book Oh How Far You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. I really don't know why, but I thought it was a very interesting book to read.
Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose.
That was pretty shitty to be told as a kid because I don't know why I suck at this. It's like, I'm trying, bitch, I'm trying. Like, I'm trying to read these goddamn books, but I can't understand it. It's just so confusing for me. And I think any kid growing up in a bilingual family can relate. Like, for real, I was struggling because there were all these kids in class reading Harry Potter, and Harry Potter is a big book, y'all. Like, it is this thick, okay? While everybody was on their Harry Potter, I was still on my Junie B. Jones, okay?
Alright. This reflects my 3rd grade experience. Yes, my 3rd grade experience. So, how can I say this? We had quite a bit of a reading level thing. When I was in elementary school, we also had book tests. Instead of fact books, we read little short story books, and our teachers would have us write a summary or a short essay about the book. And we had to answer, obviously, some prompts and other questions. And those questions and book prompts were the ones that decided our levels. And levels were organized by the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I remember in 3rd grade, I suck at those things, and I could not understand a basic like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T. Okay, so I was on like R leveled books, okay? And those books were like Julie B. Jones. Yeah, but that's one of the memories I've had as a kid. And not only that, I remember spelling tests. There were 2 groups of spelling people testing different vocabularies, right? So I was in the dumb group, or like, the group that couldn't do as well in spelling as the other. And of course, those groups consisted of no nerds. And I remember that I couldn't do English back in 3rd grade. And of course, in 3rd grade, that's where my life started going uphill because I started actually understanding what was happening. But in the beginning of 3rd grade, the spelling tests were dreaded. But instead of my mom blaming me for not being able to spell, she actually decided to help me out with the spelling. So props to my mother.
Those were the moments for me growing up that impacted me so much. And with that being said, I want to talk about how I have learned to be proud of being Chinese American and being different. And the way that I have coped with it is that I told myself there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Like, what is wrong with being a minority? What is wrong with being different? What is wrong with speaking a different language outside of English? I asked myself, shouldn't I be proud that I know 2 languages? Shouldn't I be proud that I know 2 different cultures? And what is wrong with mine? Whether a person speaks another language, eats a different type of food or not, we are all people. Like, when it comes down to it, we're all people. We're all just people trying to make it in this world. And shouldn't we bring our differences together and share that with each other and learn from each other? Just take a second and imagine, what if everyone in this world were American and we all ate the same thing, we all spoke the same language, and there was nothing else beyond that? What if we were all the same with the same exact values, spoke the same language, ate the same food? Then there won't be much to share. It wasn't until like the end of high school where I realized I wanted to embrace being Chinese. It helped me tremendously when I started surrounding myself with people who wanted me to embrace that side of me.
And of course, the people who are like against people of like having diverse people around them, those are like sometimes what we call toxic people, because they want to change people and they want to make other people like better. In a sense, that's messed up.
And that is one of my biggest advice to you guys. Surround yourself with people who genuinely are curious about you, want to know about you, and respect you. Because if you surround yourself with people who are just gonna make fun of you, make you feel ashamed of who you are, that's what you're gonna be. So girl, if you're around people that wanna laugh at your language, wanna laugh at what you eat, laugh at what you wear, you are putting yourself in the wrong place. And instead of seeing your differences as something embarrassing, see it as something I can bring to the table. Like, let me tell y'all about my pork belly. Let me tell y'all about my salted fish. And if after you tell people what you like to eat or how you grew up and they want to be disgusted, turned off, or whatever about it, let them be. Like, let them be closed-minded. Don't ever close yourself off and think that you shouldn't share your differences, because that is what makes this world so beautiful. All of our differences coming together as one and people learning about each other. I know music plays a huge role in many people's lives, and for me growing up, I didn't know who Usher was, Neo, Beyonce, Pussycat Dolls. Like, those were the artists that, you know, when I was growing up, those were the artists that were like popping, you know? And I remember going to school and all these girls would have Usher on their binder and they're like, oh my god, this is Usher, and I'm just like, who that? Because the only artist that I know is Twins, Boys, Chan Kun-hei, Lee Ha-kan, Yong Jo-yi, Chan Wai-lam. Like, those are the only artists that I listened to, and those were the only artists that I knew. And because I wanted to fit in, I started to listen to the music that other kids were listening to. And it wasn't that I didn't like it, but my heart was with Chinese music, because that is what I grew up with, that is what I know, and that's what I like. And for years, I would download songs into my iPod that I personally did not really enjoy listening to, just so that in case another kid from my class wanted to listen to my music, they'd be like, oh shit, Whaley knows the new songs and stuff. And I just remember feeling like, this is not me. This is not what I want to listen to. Nowadays, if you guys pick up my phone, you go to my music, all I have is Chinese music. The only way I know of new American songs coming out is through my friends and Wah. And I mean, I still enjoy listening to it, but for me, the music that really inspires me or music that really connects with me is Chinese music. And I have no shame in it.
I personally didn't have a problem with American pop music. I personally enjoy classical the most because, you know, I play the violin and I think violin's like the best. But I can handle modern pop music. I can handle pop music of any culture, and of course, like, I accept like all the different types of musics, but I do believe that classical takes like the biggest chunk of musicality in my life.